మ్యూట్లో ఉందా చైతన్య ఫోన్ చేస్తా
Sir, am I audible, sir?
audible.
Dr. PVK Sasidhar is currently working as professor, School of Extension and Development Studies, Indira Gandhi National Open University, New Delhi. And he attained his PhD in veterinary extension in 2002. And he was a postdoctoral research fellow at NAM, Hyderabad. And he also received research and developmental grants from different national and international organizations. And he won various awards in different fields. He was a recipient of Norman Borlaug Fellow Award of United States Department of Agriculture at Tuskegee University, USA, and he also received a fellowship grant from United States Agency for International Development Fellow at Michigan University. And he won 4 Young Scientist Awards, one from the Indian Association for Animal Production 2008, and another one is from Indian Society of Extension Education in 2007, and third one is from Indian Society of Extension Education in 2007.
Let us avoid this, we'll start the session.
He also received ICR, SRF and ARF many awards in his career.
Okay, sir. Thank you, Chaitanya. That is Sasidhar, you can start your presentation.
Sir, my screen is visible, sir?
Visible, sir. Full screen mode you can.
Yeah. Is it visible?
It is visible, sir. Full screen mode you can.
Sir, it is in full screen, sir, in my computer.
I see. I think again.
Slideshow.
Slideshow. You can stop. Share, sir. You can stop sharing again. You can do.
Is this fine, sir?
Not in full screen mode, sir.
It is in full screen only, sir, now.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Good
Is it visible
afternoon
to all the participants? Can anybody respond?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes,
sir. Yes, sir. It's visible.
Everybody.
Then you continue. You can continue.
At the outset, I thank Acharya N.G. Ranga Agriculture University, Professor Vijayabhinandana and the entire team for inviting me for this important session. So this session, I deal with evaluation of extension programs across the development sector, whether it is in agriculture or livestock or home science or in corporate social responsibility or any other thing. So usually when I conduct this session in face-to-face mode, I used to conduct a card exercise. Then we deal with appraisal, monitoring, evaluation, and impact assessment. Then evaluation types and designs. Then how to conduct evaluation using different frameworks and with some examples. And then key evaluation questions with some contextualization. Then evaluation and impact assessment curriculum in now the ICR and state agriculture universities, what they're going to follow from the current session. So this is the card exercise usually I conduct on good practices in evaluation research. My question would be, have you conducted an evaluation study in your what you call part of your PG or PhD or part of your research work? Many times students especially, they say no. But at the end of the session, they realize that they have conducted evaluation studies. And at the end of my session also, I'm sure you will realize this. So if yes, fill in the boxes for 1 to 3 program objectives. Program objectives could be 1, 2, or 3, depending on your projects and program. That means what will happen as a result of your extension program? What will happen as a result of your CSR program or any development program? Then the second issue is evaluation indicators. What will you measure that will provide evidence of change? Because evaluation basically deals with the change theory. Therefore, what will you measure that will provide evidence of change? So this evaluation indicators also we'll discuss in the next slides. Then the data collection techniques that includes questionnaires, survey instruments, mail survey, observations, focus group discussions, etc. Then the time and place of data collection, like pre and post tests at the workshops, follow-up evaluations, then baseline data during planning stage, etc. Maybe students who are attending this session may attempt this card exercise and they can submit this to their respective supervisors. When we talk about appraisal, we need to discuss about the related terms like appraisal, monitoring, evaluation, and impact assessment. On the right side, we have the program planning cycle, basically what we study during our master's program in extension. That includes the three phases: the program formulation phase, the program delivery phase, and the program evaluation phase. So in this session, we are dealing with the third part of our program planning cycle. All of us are extension professionals in one or other development sector, maybe in agriculture or livestock or home science or corporate social responsibility related issues, etc. All of us have the responsibility of implementing our development programs with efficiency, accountability, and resource allocation. For instance, when you talk about resource allocation, we have three major resources. One is the time resource of project. Second is the human resource of the project, and the monetary resource of the project. So we need to implement our program with efficiency and accountability and proper resource allocation. And many organizations, they look for experts to appraise, monitor, evaluate, and assess the impact of development projects and interventions. Therefore, we need to understand the interrelationship between appraisal, monitoring, evaluation, and impact assessment. In broader terms, appraisal is basically a pre-project activity, monitoring is a during project activity, and evaluation is just at the end of the project activity, and impact assessment is a long-term issue, maybe after 5 years or 10 years.
Sir, sir, sorry to interrupt, sir. Slides are not moving.
Slides are not in full screen mode, or
Not moving.
I think in my screen they are moving, sir.
Sir,
Sir, I request everybody to keep the phone in horizontal mode, unlock the screen lock.
Can you see the
you will
slide?
get the
Sir, now it is okay.
Yeah, now it is okay.
Yeah, let me continue in this mode only.
yes.
So appraisal is basically a pre-project activity. Monitoring is during project or during program activity. Evaluation, it starts with the end of the program or a project. And the impact assessment is long-term effects. For instance, during appraisal, when we submit our extension proposal to Director of Extension or to the university or to the ICR system, usually they examine the feasibility of our proposal, feasibility of implementing the extension program or a project in terms of many indicators. That could be economic viability or technical feasibility of the program, social desirability of the program, environmental sustainability of the program, and many times even the political dimensions also will be part of the appraisal. So one or more of these criteria are applied before giving sanction or go ahead to our proposal or a project. So appraisal is a critical examination of a proposal before implementation. Once we got the funding, then the monitoring starts. Monitoring is a continuous activity. It starts with the program and ends with the program. Whereas evaluation is a one-shot operation at a point of time, usually at completion or midway of the program. Monitoring is required for mid-course correction, whether the resource allocation is going fine or not, whether time resource is going fine or not. Whereas evaluation is used basically for future planning. When you want to replicate or when you want to expand the program in a better way or in a bigger way, then the evaluation findings will help us. Monitoring is usually done by the implementing personnel, whereas evaluation can also be done by internal persons, but if it is done by outside agency, then the reliability and validity of the evaluation will be very high. Monitoring covers all the units. It quickly covers all the units of the program or a project, whereas evaluation takes a representative sample so that we can generalize the results. Monitoring is correcting or managing mechanism, whereas evaluation is a learning process. Monitoring is symptomatic and evaluation is diagnostic. Appraisal, monitoring, and evaluation, they focus on basically the processes and the direct results of our extension program or a project. Whereas impact assessment, it focuses on long-term and wider-ranging changes beyond the immediate results of the program. For the information of the students, the PhD students, many times we misnomer the impact assessment for evaluation and evaluation for impact assessment. Many times we see the studies title with the name impact assessment, but actually what they are doing is an evaluation. Impact assessment could be like, for example, food security. Over a period of time, you implemented extension programs for a decade or 2 decades. Then what is the result of this extension program for a decade? We can see as an impact assessment. But if we immediately take up the program results, then we can call it as evaluation, but not as a impact assessment. Then why evaluation
Sasidhar sir,
competencies?
one small request. Sir, can you please make 100% zoom on your system, sir?
Ma'am, it is not visible for others when I make
Yes,
it.
sir. Can you please make it 100% zoom, sir? Actually, it
I
is only 80%.
tried, ma'am, but
Madam, sir, professor, ask them to keep the phone horizontal. Ask them to unlock the screen lock so that they can get the full screen.
Kindly do it, please. I have done it again full screen. Can you
Sir,
able to
we
see
will
my
do
full
it.
screen?
Sir, you can stop sharing. We'll do from here.
Okay, sir, you will do it from there?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm stopping.
Yeah.
Yeah, go to the next slide, sir. Next slide. Next. Yes. So why evaluation competencies are essential in development sector? Maybe agriculture, livestock, home science, CSR, or any other development sectors. The meal questions usually asked by the funding agencies. The meal stands for the monitoring, evaluation, accountability, and learning. So this is a new nomenclature now in the international literature related to M&E. Earlier we used to call it as M&E, monitoring and evaluation. Now everybody started using the term meal. So the meal questions usually asked by the funding agencies are, why should we continue to fund extension programs? Are the programs effective? Who benefited and what impacts were made? How would you improve or terminate ineffective programs? Many times when you take up our extension programs, it is not necessary that all programs leads to success. Some programs are effective in one part of the state or country, and same programs are not effective in other parts. So how would you improve them? Or even how would you terminate them because they are ineffective programs? Therefore, in order to answer these questions to the funding agencies and to get continuous funding, we need to be relevant. Extension professionals need to be relevant, and we need to have the meal competencies. If we don't have, we need to acquire these competencies, right? This is the importance of meal across the sectors. When you talk about monitoring and evaluation issues, next slide, please. The value of monitoring and evaluation and the research opportunities across the sector. These are some of the examples I took from both national and international agencies. When you see the UNDP, for example, UNDP India website, anytime there is a vacancy for monitoring and evaluation specialist in one or other programs which are undertaken by UNDP in different parts of the country. You can check now in UNDP website. Definitely there will be vacancy of monitoring and evaluation specialist. And then in World Bank projects and FAO projects, evaluation is a built-in component within the program or a project. Evaluation is a built-in program within the program. When you propose your extension program, during appraisal stage itself, the World Bank or FAO and other international funding agencies, they see the evaluation component. Similarly, the World Health Organization, then WTO, then the local organization like your adjoining institute managed in Hyderabad. They have a director position in monitoring and evaluation. Then ILRI, USAID, all of them have the vacancies, and then they advertise positions in monitoring and evaluation. And this is a good job opportunity for all extension and the CSR professionals. For instance, the lower one is the PVS gap analysis conducted by OIE. I participate in this PVS analysis globally in different parts of the world in evaluating veterinary services, how the veterinary services are being delivered. And OIE developed this PVS pathway, performance of veterinary services pathway. And this pathway is useful in assessing veterinary service delivery in different parts of the country. So they evaluate veterinary service delivery on 46 competencies. We call them as the indicators that we discuss in the next slide. So the summary of the key competencies is we need to integrate evaluation in our program planning and implementation, and we need to manage the program evaluation process, and we need to facilitate the knowledge building and share the evaluation findings with the donors and funding agencies. Next slide, sir. Let us take some examples, because in the previous slides, we used different terminology like the indicators, the time framework, and the key performance issues. For example, extension advisory services evaluation. This is also a recent terminology. Earlier, we used to call as extension programs or extension projects. Now, we are the terminology globally for extension programs and extension advisory services is EAS. So let us take the example of how we can evaluate extension advisory services. It is assessing extension advisory services as systematically and objectively as possible about, say, for example, best fit approach. These are some of the indicators that I have given here in terms of the criteria. For instance, whether your extension advisory service is a best fit approach or not. For the best fit approach, what is the key performance indicator? In the bottom box, can you see the first one? Whether your extension advisory service is gender sensitive or not. This is an indicator. Whether your extension advisory service is gender sensitive or not. Whether you are promoting participation of women and ownership of the women into extension advisory services or not. So best fit approach is criteria, and indicators are gender sensitivity or gender inclusion. The second criteria could be embracing pluralism. Many of you are aware, until 1990s, the government was the alone taking care of extension advisory services, and partly maybe 5 to 10% by other issues like private people or the third sector. But as of now, with the introduction of liberalization, privatization, and globalization, pluralism is the buzzword. There are many and multiple players in extension. The criteria for this, the indicator for this criteria is multiple service provider and how many collaborators are there in your extension advisory services. Then increasing accountability to the client criteria, the farmers' empowerment is a key performance indicator. Then developing human resources, continuous HRD, then ensuring sustainability is the program outcomes. So in every program evaluation, you need to identify some criteria. I have listed here some examples. You can add up more criteria. So you need to identify some criteria, and for each criteria, some key performance indicators. We call them as KPIs or simply as indicators. Then the other important issue in evaluation is the time reference. When you are conducting your evaluation, the time reference in the next slide, again, we will discuss on this, but the time reference means when you are conducting your evaluation at the end of the program or at the middle of the program or over a period, maybe after 5 years, 10 years, repetitive longitudinal evaluation, etc., that take care of the time issue. So in evaluation, we need to take care of criteria, indicators for each criteria, and the time reference. And the third and the last important issue here is in every evaluation, what we evaluate is the inputs, the outputs, and the outcomes. Whatever evaluation framework that we take into account, we need to evaluate these three issues. What are the inputs for the program? What are the outputs for the program? And what are the outcomes for the program? Next slide, please. So we'll take another example of self-learning material evaluation or e-learning material evaluation. Now many universities are coming out with online programs. Many universities are coming with online programs, and as a part of online program, we are providing e-learning material. Many times you are also supplementing your extension face-to-face efforts with digital communication. You are also providing some e-learning material to the farmers on related to many of your crops. So for instance, I want to evaluate the effectiveness of this e-learning material. So assessing NELK. NELK stands for New Extensionist Learning Toolkit. On the right side, you see the picture of this NELK toolkit. GFROS, the Global Forum for Rural Advisory Services, has developed this NELK toolkit. This you can I gave the link also here. And at the end of my session, I will share all these reports with Dr. Vijabhinandana, and I'll request you to share with all of you. You can also follow this link and open this document. This is a NELK toolkit on e-learning material. When you want to evaluate this new extensionist toolkit, the criteria could be the quality of the material, the effectiveness of the material, the ease of the use. These are some of the criteria. In the Extension Advisory Services evaluation, we use a different criteria like pluralistic service delivery, sustainability issues, right? But here in e-learning material, we are using the criteria, quality, effectiveness, ease of use. What are the indicators for this? We call e-learning material when it is before slide only. When we call e-learning material, when it is self-explanatory, when it is self-contained, self-directed, self-motivated, and self-evaluation. So these issues we'll discuss in the next slides also. But again, we evaluate the inputs, outputs, and outcomes when we are using the e-learning material as part of our extension programs or extension projects. Next slide, please. Then different types of evaluation. In the beginning of my session, I stated about the timeline. So types of evaluation, they are divided based on the timeline. Whether we are doing evaluation at the early stage of the program or early stage of our extension intervention or CSR intervention, or at the later stage of our intervention. So in terms of nomenclature, they call as formative evaluation and summative evaluation. Formative evaluation is again during implementation stage and during progress stage. Next slide, please. So basically, we can categorize them based on the timeline. Formative means during the program development stage. We call it as a process evaluation when we do it at implementation stage. When we call it as a midterm appraisal when we do it at the progress stage. Summative evaluation is once the program achieves a stable state of operation, maybe 1 year of program implementation or 2 years of program implementation, then we can go for summative evaluation. It is called outcome evaluation or ex post evaluation. I will give examples for all of these in the next slides also. So evaluation by agency is internal evaluation and external evaluation. As we discussed earlier, if evaluation is done by external party, then it will have more reliability and validity. Evaluation by stage includes ongoing, terminal, and ex post. Longitudinal evaluation is repeat evaluation to study the sustainability of the results or outcomes. When you conduct longitudinal evaluations, then we can also term them as impact assessment studies. Please note this. When we conduct longitudinal evaluation, maybe after few years to see the sustainability of the results or outcomes, then we can also term it as the impact study. Next slide, please. These are some of the evaluation tools and techniques that we use as per the program stage. In the first slide, we saw the program planning cycle, the program formulation or planning stage, then the program delivery or implementation stage, and the program evaluation or the conclusion stage. So at the program planning stage, different types of evaluation that we conduct includes needs assessment studies, feasibility studies, baseline studies. You might have seen this nomenclature in extension literature or in the journals. Needs assessment studies, feasibility studies, baseline studies. These are basically conducted during the program planning stage. When we are planning our extension program or a CSR program, we conduct needs assessment. In IGNOU also, we conduct needs assessment before starting our distance education programs. The evaluation questions. When you take up evaluation criteria and then you zero down to the indicators, then in order to find answers for the indicators and to see the change in the evaluation, you will ask these evaluation questions. What are the felt and unfelt capacity development needs of extension advisory service professionals? Can the program address these needs? Is capacity development program feasible in terms of socio-economic issues, environmental issues, or technical issues, etc.? Evaluation tools includes surveys, focus group discussions and observations, content analysis, economic analysis, then benefit cost ratios. These are different types of tools and techniques. When we come to the program implementation stage, usually we conduct formative evaluation. When we implement the program, then we conduct a formative evaluation. Here the questions includes, is program meeting its objectives of intended outcomes? In the program proposal, we write expected outcomes. In the program proposal, we write expected outcomes, and in formative evaluation, we ask this question: your program is meeting its objectives of intended outcomes or not? Our extension advisory service professionals are satisfied with the program. Like, for example, here we asked about the capacity development program, and when we implement the capacity development program, say, for example, a training program, whether the participants are satisfied with the program or not. In formative evaluation, we ask this question. Then the evaluation tools includes annual monitoring reports, the CASA changes, knowledge, aspiration, skill, attitude changes, then satisfaction surveys. And at the end, during conclusion stage, we call it as summative evaluation. The evaluation questions are the needs addressed? In the beginning stage, program planning stage, we are asking the question, what are the felt and unfelt needs of the community? And at the end, the summative evaluation, we are asking the question, whether these needs are addressed or not. Are the desired outcomes achieved or not? What is the cost effectiveness of the program? Under what conditions, with what training, at what cost, etc. and etc. Pre-post program data and economic data, these are some of the tools and techniques. So we use, next slide please, we use different terminology during program planning, implementation, and conclusion stages. Next slide please. Evaluation designs. There are basically two types of evaluation designs. Many times you are also using these designs. One is a pre-project versus post-project evaluation. That is a survey on the present situation and situation prior to the project, that it suffers from memory or recall bias of the respondents. For instance, when you take up an extension program or a CSR program, you conduct a survey on present situation. That is, before you start your intervention. But if you ask this question, once you complete the program, then it may lead to the memory or recall bias. Then the other way is the baseline or benchmark study and post-project study. That is, what was the condition before the project and what is the condition after the project. This is the baseline. You are comparing the baseline data with the post-project data. But unfortunately, in most of the extension and CSR projects, the baseline studies are not undertaken properly. The baseline studies are not undertaken properly, and even when the baseline data is available, it is inadequate to draw meaningful conclusions. This is the issue with the pre-project and post-project. And to overcome this issue, many times extension people go for the second design, that is with or without project. For instance, KVK beneficiary, KVK non-beneficiary. Extension program beneficiary, extension program non-beneficiary. CSR beneficiary, CSR non-beneficiary. Non-beneficiary, usually we call them as the control group. Non-beneficiary, usually we call them as the control group. So combination of both the approaches, both the designs is most appropriate to address the lacuna in each of them. Next slide, please. Then how to conduct program evaluation? Normally, as I said, in the bigger projects like funded by the World Bank or FAO, evaluation is part of the program proposal itself. But many times we write a separate evaluation proposal to evaluate an ongoing program or a completed program. Then the evaluation proposals, these are the basic issues to be included in any evaluation proposal so that you will get your funding. Need for evaluation that includes economic issues, the technical issues, or the social desirability issues, or environmental related issues, whatever may be, the need for evaluation you need to write. Then evaluation questions and objectives. The more critical your question is, the more precise your question is, the more chances for your funding. I'll give one of my own project example in the next slide. The evaluation methodology and tool. There are different frameworks to conduct evaluation, but there are three major frameworks. That is LFA, Logic Framework Approach, the Bennett's Hierarchy of Evaluation, and inputs and results output. So I will take one example of also for this three frameworks with inputs, outputs, and outcomes. And then at the end, you need to write the budget for your evaluation, how much money is required. Then the designing evaluation survey instrument and approval of the ethics committee. The second part of my presentation today, I will deal with this ethics also. Then the coding, pre-testing, recoding and data collection, data analysis, evaluation report writing and communicating findings. Usually the bigger funding agencies, they ask for both type of reports. One is a short report, another is a longer type of reports. But usually in our evaluation studies, the short report is included as an extended summary. The short report is included within the longer report as an extended summary. Next slide, please. This is the logical framework approach. Logic framework approach is promoted by World Bank in all its projects. Whenever you see the World Bank project, LFA is part and parcel of World Bank project evaluation protocol. As I said, in any evaluation framework, we see the inputs, the outputs, and the outcomes. What are the inputs? The program investments are our inputs. The program investments includes major investments are three types. One is your time investment, 1 year program, 2 year program, or a 5 year program. That is a time investment. Human resource investment, principal investigator, co-PI, then some project staff, some supporting staff. These are all the human resources and the field implementing personnel, all other stakeholders. And the third and important is the monetary issue, that is how much money is involved. So these are the three investments in any program. When you have these investments, it leads to some activities. When you have money, when you have people with you, and when you have time with you, it leads to some activities. Activities leads to participation of stakeholders. In one or other form, activities leads to participation of stakeholders in the program. Together, these two, we call them as outputs. Activities and the participation of different stakeholders includes outputs. Then the outcomes can be classified into short-term outcomes, medium-term outcomes, and long-term outcomes. Many times, outcomes, they intermix with each other. We cannot strictly classify that this is a short-term outcome, this is a medium-term outcome, and this is a long-term outcome. Many times, medium-term outcome may combine with the short-term, or it may linger on to the long-term outcome also. These are some of the examples for short-term outcomes. For example, CASA changes. At the end of my session, what is the change in knowledge related to the 3 evaluation frameworks that I'm going to discuss? But now currently I'm discussing LFA. Next slides, I'll discuss Bennett hierarchy and then inputs results framework. So the short-term outcome at the end of my presentation would be your change in CASA, your change in knowledge, attitude towards evaluation, and some skill and some awareness. Your opinion about conducting evaluation studies. Maybe some people, they don't believe in conducting evaluation because they see that it is a fault-finding mechanism. You may change your opinion. You may be motivated to take up evaluation studies, and your behavior also may change. These are some of the short-term outcomes. Medium-term outcomes includes, again, the behavioral change, decision-making, the policies. Maybe the Vice Chancellor many times may not be interested in conducting evaluation, but maybe after this 5 days training program, he may order an evaluation of this current training program itself. This is a medium-term change. Then the social action. The long-term conditions includes, these are usually the sustainability related issues like the social well-being, health improvements, the economic benefits to the community, civic and environmental changes, etc. Next slide, please. So in the second framework, we discussed the Bennett's hierarchy of evaluation. I used this Bennett's hierarchy extensively in many of my studies. Bennett, he was a scientist in United States Department of Agriculture, USDA. He designed this Bennett hierarchy of evaluation. In the logic framework approach, the hierarchy of evaluation is horizontal in nature. Inputs, outputs, and outcomes. Whereas in Bennett's hierarchy, it is vertical and from bottom to the top in 7 levels. For instance, level 1 deals with the inputs, the resources dedicated to the program, such as money and time. What Bennett hierarchy provides is, it is a process by examining the chain of means. That means what we do as a part of our extension program, what we do, and the ends, that is the results of your actions in the extension program. The results of your actions in the extension program through this level 1 to level 7. For example, your Vice Chancellor or the Dean Bapatla Agriculture College may like to know the impact or evaluation or the finding or outcomes of this 5 days national workshop on advanced research methodology in agricultural extension. Today is the last day. So from 17th, we are participating in this national workshop. So they want to see the outcomes or evaluation report. At the level 1 inputs, the resources dedicated to the program, such as money and time. Dr. Vijabhinandana must have gathered some money for conducting this national workshop because there are some expenditures to be incurred on this. Some money is required. Some time is required. I remember almost 3-4 weeks back, he contacted me. Can you deliver a session for this program? And I'm sure he must have contacted all other resource persons, also sent invitations to all the directors of extension, different parts of the country people. And then this is the time he spent and his entire team spent on this activity. This includes the inputs. The resources dedicated to the program, such as money and time. Level 2 is the activities. Activities participants were involved in. Like, for example, as a participant, expert speaker in this session, I was involved in preparing the PowerPoint slide and then sharing this slide with Professor Vijabhinandana and the team. You people took some permission from your respective organization to participate in this 5-day workshop. So these are some of the activities. Then Professor Vijabhinandana and his team, must be involved last 2 weeks, making preparations for conducting this online workshop, and then arrangement of internet connectivity, and then training hall, etc., etc. These are some of the activities participants were involved in. And at the higher level, the dean and then maybe director of research or extension was involved in giving proper approvals and then encouraging the team and providing the facilities. These are some of the activities. Then the level 3 is the participation. Who participated and how many? For example, 10 research teams from different parts of IGNOU, they participated in this workshop. Or else around 183 or 200 plus participants, they attended the 5th day session on evaluation, or else 120 attended the first session, or 300 attended the second session. So these are all of the activities, who participated and how many in terms of the numbers. Level 1, 2, and 3, you need not collect any second, what you call primary data on this. By seeing your records, level 1, 2, 3 data, you can get it. From the secondary data, what Professor Vijabhinandana and the team they have with them, you can have this level 1, 2, and 3. For instance, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 sessions. How many participants are there? 180, 200, 300, 400, maybe mean number of participants, and then standard deviation, etc., etc. And then how many experts were there, and then how many people involved in designing the program. So this data is available at secondary level itself. My point here is, in many evaluation studies, you need not go for even primary data also. Many times you can get your data by seeing the secondary resources, like your progress reports, annual reports, or progress reports of the research project, or even the census data also leads to several research reports. So level 1, 2, and 3 of Bennett hierarchy will help you to conduct an evaluation without going to the field. You can have the secondary data from the records. Then the level 4 is reactions. How participants reacted to the program. For example, overall design of the program. Afternoon 2 o'clock to 5 o'clock sessions, or afternoon 2 o'clock to 4 o'clock sessions. What is their reaction? They want maybe morning sessions are convenient, or else instead of 5-day workshop, maybe you could have completed this in 2 days by conducting morning 9 o'clock to evening 5 o'clock. These are some of the reactions. For instance, if you want to repeat this workshop in future, these reactions will help you. What are the likings of the participants? Whether they like to have sessions from evening 7 to 9 o'clock, or early morning 8 o'clock to 10 o'clock. So these are different timings. So these are the reactions of the participants on different components. Then the level 5 is the CASA changes. Knowledge, attitude, skill, and aspirational changes in terms of participants. For example, knowledge change. Usually in our training programs and workshops, we take pre-test and post-test. Pre-training program knowledge, post-training program knowledge. The difference of paid t-test result is the change in the knowledge. When we submit our report, then we measure this knowledge change. When we change in attitudes, change in the skills, change in the aspirations because of your intervention or CSR intervention. Level 6 is the practice change. When we move from level 1 to level 7, from level 5 onwards, it is somewhat difficult to measure, and level 6 is more difficult to measure, and level 7 is it is very, very difficult to measure. Because level 6 deals with the behavioral changes among the community. Then level 7 is end results, that is impacts on long-term goals or conditions. For example, Bapatla BPT 5205. Sir, I'm right. BPT 5205 is a variety that changed the entire geography of South India in terms of rice cultivation. What is the impact of BPT 5204 on social security, food security, then economic returns to farming community in the rice belt of South India? This could be a wonderful study at level 7. That is the end result, impact of BPT 5204. that is the Sona Masuri, right, sir? I'm right, sir? Sona Masuri. So impacts are long-term goals or conditions.
Yes,
of
sir,
the
you are right.
program at level 7 is measured for long-term benefits. So this is the Bennett's hierarchy. My point here is Bennett hierarchy provides us an opportunity or a scope to stop at any level. Maybe you don't have time and quickly you need to submit a report, then you can go for level 1 to 3 and prepare a report maybe in 1 or 2 days and submit it. And if you have time, you can go for level 4. In the first slide, I asked the question, have you conducted evaluation study? Many times students, they say that we have not conducted. But when you see the level 5 issue, knowledge, can you just see your thesis titles in library? Many times change in knowledge of rice farmers, adoption of groundnut varieties or adoption of cashew nut varieties. These are all our evaluation studies. We don't know, but we don't name it as evaluation, but we are conducting. At what level we are conducting? We are conducting at level 5. We are conducting this evaluation at level 5 of Bennett hierarchy. Many times you see the nomenclature of the title of the thesis as behavioral change. Then we can assume that we are conducting at level 6. Level 6 of Bennett hierarchy. Usually, when we include level 6 or level 5 in our thesis, then our other objectives usually cover level 1 to 3, 4 also. Because we take the advantage of secondary data, and then we can cover level 1 to 3, 4 or level 1 to 3 through secondary data and level 4 and 5 through primary data. And if you don't have time, you can simply go directly to level 5, level 4. Within level 5 also, you need not measure change in knowledge, change in attitude, or change in skill. If you don't have time, you just simply measure change in knowledge and submit your report. Because of my intervention, this is the knowledge change. Because of my intervention, this is the attitude change, right? Let us go for the next slide. So this is the second framework. The third framework is inputs and results evaluation. In Bennett hierarchy and logic framework approach, they deal with the input, output, and outcome. And again, outcomes are divided into short term, medium term, and long term. Whereas in inputs and results evaluation, right away it deals with inputs, that is the 3 types of inputs: monetary, human resources, and the time resource inputs, and results. Directly it goes to the results. Here the results are classified into 3. Again, output, effect, and impact. Let me take an example of the BSMA of ICR. Broad subject matter area committees of ICR was constituted for different PG level curriculum modifications. Even before BSMA was constituted, Manage has constituted a subcommittee. Madam Usha Rani, when she was Director General of Manage, she constituted a subcommittee to revise the extension curriculum. Dr. Rashid Suleiman, myself, Seturaman, Sivakumar, then Sarvanan Raj, Mahesh Chandar. So we participated in this Manage subcommittee exercise on curriculum revision of Masters and PhD syllabus revision. And then we formulated a new syllabus for PG and PhD. We felt that there is a drastic change. There is a real change to change the entire syllabus of extension, starting from grassroots level to the high-end level. So we completely discarded the old syllabus, and then we framed the new syllabus for PG and PhD. And incidentally, the ICR's BSMA, Broad Subject Matter Area Committee of ICR, also constituted for agricultural extension. And Madam Kalpana Shastri from NAM, she was the chairperson of the committee, and Professor I.S. Rao from Extension Education Institute, he was the member secretary that time. Then we gave our recommendations to BSMA of ICR, and they gladly accepted. And finally, our syllabus revision came into the BSMA of ICR. This is an output. This exercise leads to the inputs given by the Manage and ICR BSMA in terms of money and then human resources and time. It led to the first result, that is the output is the revised syllabus of PG and PhD. The revised syllabus for PG and PhD extension discipline. This is an immediate result that is called output. Got? And the next one is the effect. This is intermediate results or outcomes. It is nothing but consequence of the use of the output. The syllabus is there, the curriculum, the new curriculum is there as a output. And when we use this curriculum, then it leads to the effect. It leads to the effect. What is this effect? Strengthened agricultural extension curricula, which train the new extensionist for the next 10 years. As I said, we felt there is a need for complete, what you call the overhaul of the extension syllabus is required. If you see now from this current session onwards, new syllabus is there in agricultural extension across country, in ICR institutes as well as in state agricultural universities. Our objective was to train the new extensionist. Okay, we have traditional extension systems so far, but there is a need for new extensionists to take care of the changing requirements of Indian agriculture system. So we thought that our syllabus will change and will train the new extensionists for the next 10 years. Because ICR syllabus is for 10 years. 2009, the first BSMA was constituted. That time I was working with ICR at IBRA system. And again, 2019, they constituted the second BSMA. And because of the COVID, the implementation was delayed. And now from 2022 onwards, the new syllabus is going to continue. So this will continue up to maybe 2029. So in the next 10 years, our interest is strengthened agricultural extension curriculum. And what is the impact, the long term for the next 10 years? The consequence of the effect. In the second stage, we saw the consequence of the use of the output as the effect. And in the last stage, consequence of the effect is outcome for a country as a whole than on individual. By using this syllabus in the entire country, all agriculture universities in India, then ICR institutes like IVRI, IRI, NDRI, and CIFE, they use this revised BSMA syllabus for next 10 years. Through this new extensionist, improving food and nutritional security through efficient and effective extension advisory services. By this new extensionist that we are going to train in the next 10 years. So this is impact. I hope I'm getting, and it is clear for you. So in the third framework, that is inputs and results, we divide them into output, effect, and impact. Next slide, please. So far we discussed the three frameworks. One is LFA, second is Bennett's hierarchy, and third is inputs results. You can use any of them. You can use as per the convenience, you can use any of them. And I used extensively the Bennett's hierarchy of evaluation in my studies, as well as my student studies. I will share some of those reports. Maybe you can go through. This is another results framework chain for AESA program. Many of you might be aware about AESA, Agricultural Extension in South Asia, initiated by Dr. Rashid Suleiman under his leadership. And in 2018, I happened to prepare the meal plan for AESA program evaluation because AESA is part of JFROS. So therefore, they asked AESA to come out with a meal plan, and Dr. Rashid asked me, can you prepare this meal plan? So I prepared this meal plan with the help of Dr. Rashid and his team members. We divided the AESA activities into 6 major activities. So like there, you might have seen the my meeting notes or the blogs of AESA or manuals of AESA. So these are some of the outputs of AESA knowledge management activity. For example, you see here at the top, AESA program 1. We divided AESA activities into 6 major programs. First program is the knowledge management. Second is extension reforms. Third is research reforms. Fourth is networking, and so on and so forth. So for your information, I'm giving here the LFA's, what you call the framework for the knowledge management. The inputs, activities, participants, and then outputs. And at the end, the outcomes are divided into short term, medium term, and long term, and the key performance indicators for these outcomes. For example, inputs are the physical, human, financial, and time resources of AESA functionaries and several professionals across South Asia. There are number of extension professionals associated with AESA across the South Asia. So they all are providing their inputs in terms of time. For example, we write some blogs for AESA. Some people write their meeting notes. Some people write book reviews. Some people write policy briefs. So these are all the inputs received by AESA in knowledge management activity. These are some of the activities like AESA website resources. We can divide them into 14 themes and 8 countries. There are useful links, new publications and events. There are social media updates. Participants are all stakeholders as per the total reach data. Total reach is a nomenclature in mail. When you see the total reach, for example, what is the total reach of UNGRU? ANGR Agriculture University total reach. Maybe you can calculate all your stakeholders, the entire farming community in Andhra Pradesh state, the extension functionaries working under university, KVK system, research organizations, then the State Department of Agriculture and other line departments, maybe different NGOs and then different KVKs in both private and public sector. This will constitute the total reach data. And the outputs includes publications, then the social media reach and engagement through Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, YouTube, etc. These are some of the short-term goals, then the medium-term goals, and the long-term goals of AESA. The key performance indicators I will discuss in the next slide. Next slide, please. So these are the outcome indicators for AESA in terms of social media. Now, many of you are involved in extension activities through social media. Time to time, I receive thesis for evaluation from both UNGRU and SVVU about social media engagement in extension. What are the indicators of measures the outcomes of knowledge management? That is, when we take about social media as a criteria, the social media key performance indicators for reach. When you talk about social media extension, broadly we can divide it into reach as well as engagement. Reach is, for example, Professor Vijabhinandana and team, they are striving very hard to reach out to different extension people in the country about this workshop, about this session, 2 to 4 o'clock session every day for five days. It is the reach. And the other one is the engagement. How you are engaging the extension community or the farmers or your stakeholders of CSR intervention into your social media. Like social media KPIs for reach includes follower count, impressions, web traffic, number of visitors. For example, please open the UNGRU website and you can see on the bottom, you are the maybe 90,960th visitor UNGRU in the last 5 years. Sometimes some websites will have daily count also, daily visitors, total visitors in the last 1 year, total visitors in last 5 years. So this is a key performance indicator for web traffic. How many people are visiting your website? How many people are seeing your social media engagement? Percent of new visitors. Bounce rate. For example, when you send an email, how many of them are bouncing back? Pages per session. Average session duration. When you open a page, how much time a person is spending on that page? Is it reading completely? They're reading completely or else just they're glancing the page? This has implications, whether it is really attractive, your web page is really attractive or not, really attracting the attention of the visitors or not. Conversion rate, then cost of acquiring stakeholder, these are the monetary terms. How much money you are spending on social media engagement and on web pages, then the cost per acquisition, share of voice. When you call about engagement, social media engagement, clicks, many times we receive requests from our friends. Can you please like my post? Can you please like my column? And then the next higher level is sharing. If you like the blog, then you like to share it. If you like the message received in WhatsApp about, for example, this 5-day national workshop, if you find it interesting, then you will share it with your colleagues, that assuming that they'll be benefited out of this workshop. Comments, maybe when you post your blog on the website, many times you will receive comments. Usually when you go from top to down, the number will decrease. There will be more clicks, more likes, but less shares, and very few comments, and even very, very few mentions. Mention is that you are citing this blog in your research paper, or you are mentioning about this blog in your speech. When you are giving a lecture, you will mention that you please visit AESA website and see this blog. So I request all PG and PhD students, kindly visit AESA website. Kindly be member of AESA. Please register your email for updates. You will continuously receive updates from AESA. And this is the most accurate and authentic source of extension information in South Asia. Agricultural extension in South Asia. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. This is one example of research questions or evaluation questions. This is one of my study completed in 2015, funded by United States Agency for International Development. They have a program, US government has a program called Feed the Future. In Green Revolution, we got our food security through Green Revolution, mostly in Asia and some parts of Southeast Asia and then South Asia. But the US government's think tankers, they thought that the population is exploding, now crossing 800 billion, and then maybe it may reach 1,000 billion. Who will feed this future population? So they started this program, Feed the Future. It is US government's Global Hunger and Food Security Initiative. One of the big program under Feed the Future is MIAS, Modernizing Extension Advisory Services. As I said earlier, we are dealing with traditional extension advisory systems, but the Feed the Future program aimed at modernizing extension advisory services to meet the requirements of new extensionists. So they gave a call in 2013 and they invited the proposals globally. Then I wrote this proposal for funding, integrated contract broiler farming and evaluation case study in India. So my proposal got through the process, and then we got the funding. These are the evaluation questions that we posed as a part of our evaluation proposal. Next slide, please. In the beginning slides, I discussed that the more critical your evaluation question is, there are more chances for your funding. The more critical and the more objective your evaluation questions are, then the chances of your funding will be more. You see, this is the award letter. The review committee was very attracted by your principal question, whether provision of EAS by large private poultry companies through integrated contract broiler farming is making good profits to small-scale farmers compared to the independent farming, or just it is also a socially acceptable way of exploiting the small farmers. So this question attracted the attention of the reviewers. So they sanctioned this proposal. My request to all PG and PhD students is, please be careful while you are writing your research questions. The more critical, the more comprehensive, and the more accurate your research questions are, the more chances are there for funding or for the approval. Next question, please. Next slide, please. This is the Bennett's hierarchy that I applied in this evaluation, that contract broiler farming. Maybe this terminology may be a bit difficult for agriculture people, because those from livestock background can understand this terminology well. Like the level 1 to level 7 inputs, activities, outputs, reactions, CASA changes, practice change, and end results, we measured in terms of investments and demographics. The inputs were measured in terms of investments and demographics, fixed and variable cost, and in both contract and non-contract broiler farming. Then These are some of the demographic information of the participants. Then activities in terms of physical and human resource activities, technical and economic performance in outputs we measured in terms of broiler birds, their productivity, their mortality percentage, efficiency, feed conversion ratios, then economics of inputs and outputs, then extension advisory services, frequency of information from various sources, etc. Then the farmers' feedback on factors of motivation, then the reasons to change, then farmers' perceptions we studied on inputs as well as outputs. Then technical advices adoption. Please note that here we have not studied everything of CASA. Here we studied only the adoption. Then in the socio-economic changes, we studied the SWOT parameters, and then we conducted a focus group discussion. So here we followed a mixed method approach using both quantitative as well as the qualitative tools. Next one, please. Maybe this example of KVK evaluation. Next slide, please. You can connect to this slide. We also used Bennett's hierarchy in 3 of my PhD students' thesis. They completed their PhD, and all of them used Bennett hierarchy. This particular example was used in Andhra Pradesh by Dr. Bal Hussain Reddy. He is working in, I think, RARS Tirupati as a part of his PhD study on paddy and groundnut. So all of you are aware, KVK evaluation consists of 3 major activities. All KVKs are interested with on-farm trials, frontline demonstrations, and the training programs. So we took up all the 3 activities of KVK. Under level 1, we measured the resources used for KVK activities based on the secondary data from the KVK records. Then level 2 activities performed by KVK, again through secondary data for on-farm trials, frontline demonstrations, and training programs. Then involvement of different stakeholders, starting from ICR from headquarters to Zonal Coordination Unit of Bangalore, and then Rayalaseema Seva Samiti of the KVK ownership is with Rayalaseema Seva Samiti, and the KVK functionaries, Gras KVK. And level 4 reactions, as part of training programs, KVK was conducting trainings to Adarsh Raitos. These are the model farmers as per the MS Swaminathan's recommendations. So Andhra Pradesh was one among the first states to implement that recommendation of training the model farmers. So this KVK was involved in training of Adarsh Raitos. So we studied the perception of participants for the training. Then CASA changes. This RAS KVK focus is on paddy and groundnut. So in Andhra Pradesh, we focused on paddy and groundnut, whereas in Gujarat KVK evaluation, we focused on date palm, and in Assam KVK evaluation, we focused on the home science related issues. So level 6 practice change, adoption behavior of beneficiary farmers on 11 management practices for paddy and 14 management practices for groundnut. So level 7 end results is the SWOT analysis and 2 case studies on livelihood security to groundnut farmer, and then revising rice cultivation through resource efficient direct seeding technology. So my request to the PhD students would be, when you comprehensively try to evaluate everything related to a crop, then Bennett hierarchy is of utmost use, level 1 to level 7. But many times, as part of our PG studies, you can see that level 5, the CASA change, knowledge among date palm growers, knowledge among the what you call paddy farmers or groundnut farmers, or adoption of improved management practices by date palm farmers in Gujarat or AP or Telangana. So these are some of the titles. Now it's very, very, very common titles. All of us are conducting evaluation at one or other stage, level 1 to level 7. Next slide, please. This is an example from my institution, IGNOU. So this may not be relevant for all of you, but my point would be here, by conducting a simple evaluation at level 1 to 3, we saved almost 11 crore rupees per year. This is an evaluation study that we conducted, and the evaluation results were implemented. IGNOU is spending almost 42 crore on academic counseling and supports student support services. And for our broadcast, electronic media broadcast, we are spending almost 12 crores. So total, we are spending 54 crores. But the main question by the Finance Committee was on how to improve the effectiveness of learner support services and how to reduce learner support services cost. Maybe you can also pose these questions in your Finance Committee, in IGNOU Finance Committee, how to improve services to your farmers and how to reduce the service cost while we are maintaining the quality of the service and how to reduce the cost of the service. So we conducted this study and an experiment. And next slide, please. And by implementing with this research question, next slide, please. And by implementing these recommendations of this evaluation, now university is saving almost, next slide, please, almost 11 crores per year. So this is the evaluation recommendation. So based on this evaluation findings and recommendations, we shifted almost 100% face-to-face counseling to technology-enabled online counseling for all low enrollment programs. In the program wherein enrollment is less than 200, now there is no support service at these study centers. So we saved a lot of money, and we are conducting those services from the headquarters. And in high enrollment program, we are trying to shift a part of counseling from face-to-face to online counseling. So by using level 1 to 3 evaluation findings, we saved around 11 crore rupees. Next slide, please. This is one evaluation study we conducted when I was in ICR service, in Agriculture Research Service. As a part of Radio Farm School initiative, we were conducting programs with All India Radio Bareilly and All India Radio Rampur. So until the evaluation of the 6th Radio Farm School, we were under the impression that we were doing a tremendous job. But once we conducted this evaluation study, the 6th Radio Farm School, we came out with several problems unearthed during this evaluation. Then mistakes were rectified and we implemented this Radio Farm School in much better way. So many of you, maybe in South India also, I'm aware many Radio Farm Schools are on offer. Now, if you want to evaluate the Radio Farm School efficiency or effectiveness, or even many of the agricultural extension programs are broadcasted through radio, All India Radio or local radio stations. Maybe you can evaluate the effectiveness of this radio extension by implementing this type of evaluation studies. Next slide, please. So this is something like e-learning material evaluation. In the beginning slides, I discussed about NELK toolkit. So if you want to implement your e-learning material, if you want to evaluate the e-learning material efficiency, then again you can use the Bennett's hierarchy. In terms of here only I have changed the indicators. Like for example, reactions of the students, content quality, ease of use. For example, this is our learning material. When I use this as an online e-learning material, then I examine the reactions of the students, whether they are liking the format or not, how much time is taken to read a module or listen, and reactions on usefulness of the e-learning material. For example, when we convert our credits, like when we offer 32 credits, how much time students are taking to read the material, comprehend it, and then deliver it in examinations and then through assignments. This is some example of Bennett's hierarchy and their application with the evaluation of e-learning material. Next slide, please. This is one simple question I tried to take out from the e-learning material only on quality of the content. That is key evaluation question on quality of the content. Are the learning objectives clear? In each module, we try to give learning objectives, and in the evaluation question, we ask this question whether the learning objective is clear or not. Next slide, please. These are the findings of the evaluation. For example, when we take the feedback from the students on the 5-point continuum of Likert, if we receive the response on the higher side, that means nearly 80% of the students, they liked and the learning objectives were clear was the response from them. So evaluation findings that we can write includes learners are interested in the subject, topic is relevant, and lessons have immediate application. Suppose if you receive response towards the lower side, that is the lower end, then you can write your evaluation findings with this low rating. That is, learners are not clear and the e-learning material had no reasonable pattern of flow, etc. Next slide, please. This is another evaluation study, same funded by USAID, completed in 2016. Here we assessed the core competencies of livestock extension professionals. Among the core competencies, we also included the evaluation competencies. So these are some of the evaluation competencies, part of this study that we included. And on measurement includes how important is this task, that is not important to very important, and what is your level of knowledge and our skills to perform this task. So these findings came out with that many extension professionals, they lack evaluation competencies that are required. So we gave recommendations accordingly at pre-service and then during in-service and then induction level training programs. Next slide, please. These are some of the needs assessment studies as part of IGNOU programs. Now we developed these programs, and these programs like urban planning and development is an offer. Then CSR program is an offer. Some of the participants of this today's session is they're also from our PG diploma in corporate social responsibility. Then the other program is on scope on animal welfare education. So we are offering a PG diploma in animal welfare. This study material is part of that program. So my point here is, as a part of extension or CSR interventions, we conduct needs assessment, and then to address these needs, we formulate our extension programs or CSR interventions, and accordingly we will take up those programs and finally we evaluate. Next slide, please. I will share all these reports. Kindly go through them. And in building the monitoring and evaluation competencies, there are continuing education programs, NORM, EAI, then MANAGE, NIRD, they're conducting. In 2006, on the left side manual, you can see I was a participant in this program. Participating in this evaluation capacity building program was a game changer for me. I can categorize my research before participating this program and after participating this program. Before this program, I was conducting all types of studies, but after this, I focused on evaluation studies. And then in this 2018, on the right side, during 2018-19, we planned this, and then I participated in this program as a resource person along with Michigan State University professionals, then NIRD and MANAGE. And Dr. Sethuraman Sivakumar also participated in this program as a expert. So there are a number of continuing education programs are being offered exclusively in monitoring and evaluation capacity building. I am aware about NORM and MANAGE. They are conducting regularly. So if you are interested, kindly register one exclusive monitoring and evaluation training programs so that you can gain confidence and competency in this area. Next slide, please. These are some of the evaluation reports. Right side one, what I mentioned about the meal program for agricultural extension in South Asia. And on the right side, this we did in last year in 2020. I was part of QRT team, quinquennial review team of ICR for evaluation of ICR's NRC on equines at Aesa. Next slide, please. So evaluation competencies are useful in one or other form throughout your career. So this left side one is what I mentioned, the PVS evaluation, performance of veterinary service evaluation. This study is from Cambodia. In 2018, we completed this and submitted our report to the OIE Paris. And in this PVS evaluation, we conduct where the veterinary service delivery is in the country and compare it with the global standards, and then we give recommendations on improvements. On the right side one, maybe maybe some of you might have seen this report in social media, and I sent this report to all state agriculture universities and their libraries. Last year, during 2019-20, as a part of Fulbright program, Professor Murari Suvedi and myself, we evaluated agricultural extension curriculum at undergraduate level. Currently, we are undergoing the 5th Dean's Committee report. So we evaluated undergraduate agricultural extension curriculum in India, Sri Lanka, and Nepal. And then we gave our recommendations for 6th Dean's Committee, the next Dean's Committee report. And our recommendations are there with ICR and with different state agricultural universities. Next slide, please. This is one study currently that I am part of it, and we are replicating the same South Asia study in Africa now. In Nigeria, Malawi, and South Africa, we are repeating this study, and this study is in progress. And next week, we are going to administer our online survey to these 5 countries in Africa. Again, we are evaluating the undergraduate agricultural extension curriculum here to improve the extension curriculum in Africa. And this is fully supported by Michigan State University under Alliance for African Partnership. Next one, please. And coming back to the last part of my session, monitoring and evaluation during our BSMA meetings, then managed committee, subcommittee meetings. So we strongly felt that there is a need for a separate monitoring and evaluation course at a higher level, that is at PG and PhD level. And before that, we reviewed what is happening at BSc level. As a part of this 5th Dean's Committee in BSc Agriculture and the Bachelor of Fishery Science, they are dealing with monitoring and evaluation as part of these courses. That is the Fundamentals of Agricultural Extension 2+1 course, and in Fisheries Business Management and Entrepreneurship Development 1+0. BVSA and AH, as per the VCI 2016 curriculum, we had a 3+1 course. So program planning, evaluation, and project appraisal. So as a part of our undergraduate extension curriculum, we do cover some of the concepts of evaluation, monitoring, and then appraisal issues, but there is a need for improving this competency at undergraduate level itself. Because 80 to 90% of students, they go to the field jobs once they complete bachelor's degree. Therefore, they need to acquire monitoring and evaluation competencies. Right, next slide, please. So to address this at the higher level also, we designed a course for PG level, and this is now part of ICR's BSMA committee and BSMA syllabus. We designed this course with the 2+1 credits, like 32 theory sessions and 16 practical sessions, EXT 510 evaluation and impact assessment. So I request all faculty members of agricultural extension to strongly advise your students to undergo this course seriously so that their evaluation competencies can be increased. Next slide, please. So what are the challenges in evaluation? All we talked is right, but there are difficulties also. Establishing a scientific knowledge base and generating evidence is a challenge. Example, do extension functionaries who attended today's session or last 5 days national workshop on advanced research methodology in agricultural extension conduct better evaluation studies than those who do not? It is difficult to establish a control group. Often we say that as a part of our evaluation designs, we are going for with and without project, beneficiary and non-beneficiary in terms of control. But it is difficult to establish a uniform control group, maintain uniform treatments, and measure long-term impacts. Non-availability or inadequate baseline data on impact indicators to see expanded impacts over time. For example, we don't have baseline data, even when it is available, it is inadequate to draw meaningful conclusions. Next slide and last slide, please. So there are challenges, but there are benefits also if we follow and if we conduct evaluation studies. Next slide, please. Often evaluation is neglected and mistakenly seen as a fault finding mechanism. That's why many times when we propose evaluation study, then higher officials say that, oh, it's not required, or else they'll ask, can you give a positive study report? In the beginning itself, they'll ask whether you will give a positive report, then only we'll give the funding. So we need to see that evaluation is a learning process, and the past experiences guide us to a better future. Let me stop here, and I'll be happy to answer if you have any questions or comments. And if you permit, sir, then I will continue with the next session also on ethics, and then we'll take up questions.
That is
sir?
better, sir.
Yeah. Can you share the next session? I'll complete it quickly.
Okay, sir.
I hope I'm clear, sir.
Yes, sir, very much.
Can you share, sir? Are you sharing?
Sir, we are sharing, sir.
Yeah. So I will go quickly the second session. Yes. During 2016, Professor S.V.N. Rao, my guru, my mentor, and I take all professional advices from him, and a great extension professional, scientist, teacher. He retired as a professor and head from Department of Veterinary and Animal Husbandry Extension from Rajiv Gandhi Institute of Veterinary Education and Research, Puducherry. So during 2016, we wrote this blog, Values and Competencies in Agricultural Extension. This is available in AESA website. I will also share this blog with all of you. Kindly go through this. So we felt that the contribution of extension has been very immense, but it could be further increased. The contribution of extension can be further increased if extension professional adopt some human values, some human positive values and attitudes towards work. This was the essence of this blog. Next slide, please. So in this session, I'll try to cover extension fieldwork, then extension teaching and training, then extension research involving human subjects. As part of agricultural extension research at PG and PhD level, as well as the CSR interventions, we are using human subjects as our respondents, farmer, our beneficiaries, our community members. So we need to follow some values and ethics. What are those values and ethics? Next slide, please. So all of you are aware about this one. Values determine our priorities, our decision making, and our professional behavior. Positive and negative values bring in respective positive and negative effects. The general positive values are irrespective of the profession. Every profession should have some general positive values, whereas some values are specific to some professions. General positive values are common among the professions, whereas some specific values are there which are to be followed by extension professionals that we discuss in the next few slides. Next slide, please. Why professional values are important for extension professionals? All professions develop internal or self-image based on members' attitudes and behavior. And we also develop some external image, how they are seen by non-members. For instance, the image of extension profession in terms of our own perceptions. We are all extension workers. What is our image on our own discipline? That is the self-image, the internal image. I need not tell you the answer. All of us know the answer very well. Then the external image also, how your colleagues from other departments like plant pathology or plant physiology or your agronomy colleagues, how they are seeing you, how they are visualizing extension professionals by non-members, by non-extension people, how they are seeing. Examples for extension personnel is faith in stakeholders, commitment to agriculture development, concern for the farming community. These are the minimum, what you call the issues or attitudes or behaviors that all of us should have. When you talk about commandments for extension professionals, old agricultural extension textbooks like Dr. Adavi Reddy in 1971. I remember we read this book during our graduation, and I think printed by Lakshmi Press in Bapatla, sir, that main road. I still remember that press. By Lakshmi Press in Bapatla, they used to print this book, Professor, written by the great extension professor, faculty, teacher, scientist, Professor Adavi Reddy. He mentioned about some of these values, the commandments for extension professionals. But these values, unfortunately, are either ignored or not given prominence they deserve in our next, what you call, maybe the new textbooks, or in terms of our behavior, or in terms of our own actions. Next slide, please. These are the general perceptions of community about agricultural extension. As I mentioned in my previous session, we conducted this study in South Asia, India, Sri Lanka, and Nepal. One of the questions that we asked in focus group discussion was, what is your perception on agricultural extension? Because they are from field functionaries, they are from the farming community, they are also people representing other disciplines or field functionaries working in NGOs. So we collected the information and then repeated answers, removed, and this is the summary of the response. They thought extension is an advisory work. They try to change knowledge, opinion, skill, attitudes. Extension is a communication intervention. Extension is a community development. Extension is a developmental intervention, diverse and valuable service, education process, facilitation, then help in decision making, capacity building, situation analysis, help in identifying problems through farm, home, and the community, input provider, information provider. They are the link between farmer researcher. They are the lowest in hierarchy, but broad-based in usage. They provide marketing information. They played significant role in Green Revolution, provide guidance, transfer of knowledge, transfer of technology. This is the real image of extension when you see from the community perspective. My question is, are we ready to keep up this image through our behavior, through our actions, through our professional commitment? This is the essence of the values and ethics every extension professional should have. Next slide, please. Extension Professionals Creed. Epsilon Sigma is a very old organization in United States. It is just like any extension professional association with branches in almost all states of United States. And their statement, the mission statement is dedicated to fostering standards of excellence. And their vision is leads the extension system in promoting and supporting professionalism in extension. They take care of it. Unfortunately, in our own discipline, we have number of societies, we have number of associations. They're interested in conducting annual conferences, annual seminars and symposiums. But what is happening to the recommendations of these seminars and symposium? Are we really interested in that? Many times we don't see, we don't even find the recommendations. We don't even see the continuation of our work in taking forward the recommendations of the seminar. Leave about the professional commitment and other things. So every organization, every profession, they have their own professional societies, but compared with other professional societies of your own college, what extension society is doing, what extension community is doing in terms of our associations. This is the essence of Epsilon Sigma Phi organization and its efforts in taking forward the ethics and values related to extension. This is a commandments, that's the creed, that is something like they believe in extension. And then they want that every extension professional should imbibe them, because I believe these things, I am an extension professional. Next, please. The key competencies of every extension worker is the quantum of knowledge about the task. Every extension professional not only should have the extension knowledge, but also the basic subject matter specialization knowledge also. Then only they can be able to do a better extension work. The extent of skills they possess and the type of attitude they have towards the work. Next slide, please. So effective versus ineffective extension worker. How we can differentiate between effective and ineffective? An effective extension worker with the dedication, humility, and hard work spends time in developing the knowledge, aspiration, skill, and attitude of the farmers. And that does not merely concentrate on extension projects. An effective extension worker gets out to visit and meet farmers and does not become an office bureaucrat. Many times we spend our time in offices and we expect farmers to come and meet us instead of ourselves going to the field. Encourages local initiatives, self-reliance, and does not adopt a paternalistic attitude towards farming. Plans for the long-term development and does not seek only quick results. Next one, please. So values that every extension worker should possess. All of you are very well aware about this. Only issue is we need to implement. Work is worship in terms of competencies, effectiveness, and efficiency. Help the farmer selflessly and transparently. No wealth without work. Accountability to the society. Maybe I know many of my students are here in this session from PG Diploma in Corporate Social Responsibility. CSR versus ISR. This is the term we coined in this blog, Professor Rao and myself. Individual social responsibility. This is a corporate social responsibility, whereas this is an individual social responsibility all of us have towards society, because we are morally bound to help society. Why? Because as an extension functionary, faculty, scientist, or a worker, all of us are receiving salary. Therefore, we are morally bound. Second is we heavy educational subsidy. I will give my own example. As a part of my bachelor's in veterinary medicine program for 5 years in Tirupati Veterinary College, in 10 semesters, I think I remembered I paid hardly 300 per semester. So around 2,000 to 4,000 rupees was the tuition fee I paid for 5-year program.
Sir, it's not audible.
We just wait. Sir is trying to connect. Just we'll wait for a while.
একটা স্টেজের টেন্ডার
I'm sorry, sir. Sir, can you hear me?
It is audible, sir.
Okay, sir. So I was discussing about hello. Yeah, I was discussing about corporate social responsibility versus individual social responsibility. So accountability society in terms of salary and educational subsidy, I was giving my own example. As a part of my undergraduate program, I paid around 3,000 to 4,000 rupees for entire my 5-year program. And from PG onwards, I started getting my fellowship, ICR, JRF, and SRF. So as my point here is all of us are accountable to the society. And as an extension scientist and as an individual also, we do have individual social responsibility. And wrong means can never justify the right ends, and deceiving others tantamount to deceiving yourself. Many times when we are recording our yield gaps, our frontline demonstration results, or else the training program results reporting, many times we what you call we try to alter the data, and then we are deceiving ourselves by doing this. And production by masses, but not production by mass production. And inclusiveness. Whenever we are trying to take up our extension programs, try to see that our programs are gender inclusive, try to see that our programs are inclusive of socially and geographically and culturally disadvantaged people. Then only we can say that we are doing right extension work. Next slide, please. So values in extension teaching also, as a part of the school curriculum, values in school or college curriculum is there in terms of moral science. I remember during our childhood days also, we have undergone this moral science classes. And in veterinary, BBS and AH, we have 2 courses on veterinary jurisprudence and ethics and veterinarian in society. Then in BSc agriculture, as a part of 5th Dean's Committee report, a new non-gradal course on human values and ethics was introduced as part of the 5th Dean's Committee. And in UGC also, there is a 2-credit course on research ethics, then values in corporate sector, 7 spiritual values of Matsuita. And then in IGNOU, we have certificate and diploma programs in value education. And I'm happy to share that NAM has started a FDP, Faculty Development Program on Values and Ethics, and they're continuously offering this FDP program for the past 3-4 years. Next slide, please. So values ethics in extension research involving human subjects. So this is more important for all of us doing extension research or part of our CSR research. Why? Because we are involving human subjects as our respondents. Farmers are our respondents. Community members are our respondents. Or the students are our respondents. So research in extension is humans are subjects like farmers, and it involves both interaction and intervention. It involves both interaction and intervention. And the purpose of ethical guidelines is to safeguard the human rights. The extension research is to implement ethical research guidelines fully, and it is essential to endorse them to conduct ethically sound research. For example, as a part of our extension survey instrument questionnaire, we used to ask some private information like subject psychological characteristics, the demographics of the characteristics of the farmers or the respondents, because they are the personally identifiable information, like the name, the address, the email, the telephone number. These are all the information that is personally identifiable. Therefore, we need to follow some ethics during our data collections. Next slide, please. Examples from the extension research involving human subjects is in interviewing the farmers about the choice of crop varieties. Many times we ask them why you are going for this variety, why not for that variety, or else this breed of poultry, why not that variety of poultry. The reason for considering as a human subject research is it is a systematic investigation with interaction between the extension researcher and the farmers. What is happening here is the interaction. Then collecting emails, mobile numbers of farmers for choosing samples. These details are identifiable personal information about the farmers. When you ask their mobile number, when you ask their email, it is personally identifiable information. Then administering an attitude scale to assess the farmer's attitude towards maybe XYZ psychological continuum. So it is a psychological character of the farmer, and it is a private information. Therefore, we need to follow the ethical issues and ethical guidelines. Next one, please. What is the need for ethically sound human subjects research in extension? Many times we ignore obtaining a consent. Many times we ignore obtaining a consent from the respondents because we consider that it is not essential. No, it is essential to have consent. Many times when we collect the data in face-to-face mode, we need to take many times even signature also as a part of the consent. And there is also a demand from international journals. Institute Ethics Committee approval is there or not for your interview schedule. Description in research methodology also. Many times, many journals, they ask in research methodology, ethical information related to data collection. Protection of personally identifiable information is also important. Like for example, many times we collect the data of the farmers and then we share. It is not ethically correct. Sharing respondents' contact details for other purpose is unethical and it is liable for legal action also. When research involves psychological variables or experimentation, researcher is vulnerable to legal action. For example, when we are subjecting respondents for some what you call exposing them for some experiment, learning outcomes with on-campus and with online training. Many times we are conducting now programs for online, and then when we call them to the on-campus, then what is the learning outcome? Then impact of extension advisory services with or without KBK. Because here we are doing some experimentation, therefore ethically we need to be correct. Next one, please. Ethical review procedure for research involving human subjects. Constitution of Institutional Ethics Committee is essential for all colleges, research institutes, and universities. And I am not aware about the agriculture universities, but in our own university, we don't have an ethical committee for human subject research. Therefore, when we are conducting this Fulbright work in South Asia, we got our ethical clearance from Michigan State University board. They have a board for human subject ethical research clearance. So we sent our questionnaire to the Michigan State University Institutional Review Board, and we got the clearance from them. So it is mandatory IEC clearance for all research proposals, and we need to submit our full methodology with the sampling plan, data collection instrument, psychological test and scales, then prior informed consent and briefing form, introduction letter requesting participation, etc. These are essential. Many times, many theses that we are receiving, for example, before week, I received a thesis from BHU. We have this consent form. I saw this in both introduction letter, briefing form, as well as the consent form. So we need to implement this type of ethical practices in other universities also in extension research. Next one, please. So what are the tools for human subject protection? Informed consent form or participant information sheet or a full cover letter with all details. Contact details of institutional ethics committee members and the compensation for participant. This we need to explain to them because they are participating in our survey and what is the benefit for them. Many times in Western countries, they make cash payments to the participants of the survey. They give some gifts, whether ethical or unethical. Again, this is a broad debatable issue. And many times they include the participant as a chance for lucky draw. And then the policy changes. For example, this right side one, this study we conducted in 2015, the compensation for poultry farmers is that we recommended for constituting a national regulatory body for improving the contract farming in the country. This is a compensation for the participants on a longer run, right? Next one, please. So way forward is identification of core values, which do not vary from lower to higher positions. Whether you are doing a master's thesis in extension as a PG student, or you are a professor or a principal scientist doing extension research, the core values should be the same. identification of suitable trainers who have been adopting these values and make them make part of this ethical issues in every training program, whether it is on evaluation methodology or research methodology or any other training program, include one session on ethics and values. This is being done by NAM. NAM has included ethics and value in almost all their programs. Then inculcating values at graduate level, irrespective of the specialization, it must be made part of the core curriculum. I'm really happy that 5th Dean's Committee has made this one, and I'm fully hopeful that 6th Dean Committee also will continue and make it as a part of core curriculum. The core values adopted and adhered to by great extension leaders without compromising on the values need to be stressed. We know many teachers, like I have my own experience with Professor S.V.N. Rao. I really adore him and I value him as a great extension professional. And my teacher at College of Agriculture in Tirupati, Dr. Lakshmi Reddy, is no more, but I really value him as a great extension teacher. So we need to bring these experiences into the what you call to the lower level of undergraduate training, so that the students of coming generations, they also adhere these values. Next one, please. So these are further readings, maybe 1 or 2, 3 are there. You can read them, and I will share them also to Dr. Vijayabhinandana, and I request him to share with all the participants of the national workshop. And again, I thank the organizers for inviting me for these sessions, and my apologies, I lost connectivity in between, and thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.
Happy if any questions are there, I'll be happy to answer.
This is open for discussion. Okay. Any clarifications? 1 or 2, I think it is there in chat box. Bennett hierarchy.
Hello, sir. Am I audible?
Yes, please.
Sir, I'm Ankit Kumar. Sir, I have a question that if I am too much interested in agriculture sector, but I don't have qualification in core agriculture like BSc or MSc in agriculture, but I have a science graduate, geology, botany, chemistry, and having masters, and I am working currently with the agriculture department as a professional to support like farm producer organization and some other activities. So how much the possibilities are there that I will be able to work in this agriculture extension if I'm interested in the marketing and evaluation, which you shared today at the meal program.
And my strong suggestion would be Manage is organizing a PG diploma in agricultural extension, agri extension management. So in distance mode, and my request would be kindly join that program, and that will give you the competency required in handling the agricultural extension subject matter, and then gradually involve yourself into 1 or 2 projects wherein monitoring and evaluation is there, and then read the literature on monitoring and evaluation. Then gradually you can gain expertise. Already you have a bachelor degree in science, and it won't take much time for you to get into this subject. I'll give you my own example and my own passion for extension. During 96, I completed my BVSc, but that time we don't have a veterinary extension JRF. But I want to do my PG and PhD only in extension. So that time ICR's JRF was the only option, and the JRF syllabus includes plant pathology, agronomy, entomology, plant breeding, genetics and plant breeding. This was part of syllabus. Being a veterinary graduate, in 4 months, I studied entire BSc agriculture curriculum for my ICR JRF exam, and I was the national topper. Because I have that passion with I want to do PG in extension only. And there is no other way. I had to read this entire syllabus of BSc agriculture 4 years in 4 months. And I cleared. And I'm sure with your interest and with your passion, you can also do that.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir, for your guidance. Thank you.
There is one question in the chat box. What is meant by core values? Core values or core competencies are. Sorry, it is sounding back. Core competencies are the basic essential things in terms of knowledge, in terms of your attitude, in terms of your skills. By combining them, you will become a complete professional. These are the core values or the core competencies. If you want to be a core extension functionary, then you need to have the core competencies in extension, like the program planning skills, the program implementation skills, the program evaluation skills, the communication and information technology skills. These are the core competencies. Likewise, to become a what you call the human being with values and ethics, you need to have that core values. Any question, please? Any other question, please?
One of the participants is asking.
Sir, I am Geeta Reddy from PJTSAU, Community Science Extension Department. So I would like to know the impact prediction by Delphi technique. So do we use it in extension impact assessment?
Yeah, Delphi, my own competency in using Delphi is less because I never applied this Delphi technique, but it is a sort of series of what you call interventions. Maybe if I remember correctly, but try to read. I'm sorry, I'm not competent on this to answer. But I have gone through a few Delphi studies by Pondicherry Veterinary College. Professor Ram Kumar, he conducted and he is an expert in Delphi studies. And then one thesis in IVRI, Dr. Prakash Rathod, he also conducted a Delphi study. Maybe I can connect you with them. Maybe you can talk to them and clarify your doubts.
Sir, we have implemented somebody else are asking. Just for a second. We have introduced a new BSMA syllabus and we have impact assessment of development programs as one of the core course in community science extension at PhD level. Sir, I have a few doubts regarding this, but this is not the platform to ask those questions. Can I contact you on your official mail? I have seen your mail ID.
Yes, ma'am. Maybe briefly you can ask me now, what is your core issue?
Sir, there are different techniques been given here, log frame analysis and all. How far it is applicable to our impact assessment programs and all? You said the second method is of more useful, that level 1, 2, 3 for our students to do the evaluation and impact assessment.
Yeah. Ma'am, I'm not what you call promoting Bennett's hierarchy, but I have used it extensively and I found it very convenient and useful. But you can very well use LFA also, and you can use even inputs results framework also. Finally, whatever framework that you are using, finally you need to identify some criteria. You need to identify some indicators. And then what are the inputs, outputs, and outcomes of the program? And at what time you are using this evaluation study. All these frameworks deals with these 5 issues: criteria, indicators, inputs, outputs, and outcomes.
Okay, sir. Thank you very much, sir. I must thank Vijayabhanandan sir.
Hello.
Hello. Yes, please.
Hello. I am audible.
Yes, please.
Hello, sir. Hello, sir. Myself, Dr. Girish Mareddy. I am from US Dharwad, sir. Sir, it's a very informative lecture, sir, you have given, and that on broad perspectives. Sir, here, particularly, I am very thankful for your concern to the agriculture profession as a whole, both domestically and internationally. So now I have a question now. So opportunities, particularly for evaluation of extension program for our PG students and all, particularly internationally, take for example CJR institutes and other institutes. So is there, can you throw some light on the opportunities for our PG students, particularly to involved in evaluation work, sir?
Yes, sir. This is a great area. Monitoring and evaluation. Sir, I think my voice is bouncing back. Problem is from my side or?
No, it's clear, sir.
Yeah. Monitoring and evaluation. In fact, we have different specializations in extension. And why I stress on monitoring and evaluation is for evaluation competencies, if you have, and you are a hotcake in CJR system, I tell you. If student has a monitoring and evaluation competency and ability to use evaluation tool and impact assessment tools, definitely in CJR system, you take up any CJR institute, whether it is in agriculture or livestock sector or fishery sector, definite job openings are there. And within monitoring and evaluation, one small component called environment impact assessment. If you refer the syllabus of BSMA, we have included environment impact assessment also. This syllabus was particularly framed by me. Environment impact assessment is a part of each and every project in country now, bigger projects, dams, irrigation projects. And there is a lot of consultancy money in this environment impact assessment works. It is based on evaluation. Then the second one is evaluation of advisory services. Like you said, CG system. FAO is also working on harmonizing global extension advisory services evaluation. Last year, FAO has taken up an assignment to develop a global tool on evaluating extension advisory services, and both quantitative and qualitative tool. And Dr. Rashid Suleiman from India, he took a lead role in developing this tool. And I was also part of this exercise as a consultant. And this tool is going to be released very shortly. This is about evaluation of extension advisory services in a country as a whole, that you can apply for a state also, for a district also. And this tool is going to be released very shortly. And my request would be to give more focus on monitoring and evaluation course, impact assessment course, and then guide properly the PG and PhD students. And definitely they have job opportunities in this alone one area of monitoring and evaluation.
Sir, may I have one question, please?
Yes, please.
Myself, Dr. Sasidhar from Mizoram.
Yes.
Sir, first I must congratulate for your nice presentation, sir. It's very pleasant to hear you. My one question is that, sir, regarding whatever you said, how to impact assessment of advisory services. Now, whenever we give the advice or any information to our clients or farmers, now how the information we are giving it, how to monetize that information, because we are giving the information, farmers is adopting, sometimes he is adopting partially, and impact assessments, how to monetize that information, because of that his farming condition or income is improved.
This is a very what you called burning issue in extension. Many times we realize, and we need to acknowledge that many times extension results are not tangible. Extension research results are not quantifiable many times, because we give advice, and how to measure this advice in terms of the result? I hope your question is on the same, Dr. Sasidhar.
Yeah.
How to quantify this information? So my last slide is on this only. It's a challenge. Quantifying extension results, especially when this type of advisory. Latest terminology is extension advisory and input services. Many of us are involved in input service provision also. But when you give only advice, whether this is really useful. For instance, in 2015, when we evaluated contract broiler farming, this we have quantified. What is the value of this advice per kg of broiler bird produced? What is the value of extension advisory service per kg of live chicken produced? It was 0.52 rupee, 52 paise. We quantified this. 52 paise per kilo body weight of broiler bird produced. They are spending on extension advisory services. They're paying for both in contract farming system. This is given free of cost. As a part of the contract between the company and the farmer, they are providing free service. But in non-contract broiler farming system, poultry specialists are charging per visit or per flock, say five weeks flock or 6 weeks flock, or many times they engage a consultant per year, 5 batches, 6 batches. For example, in a year, this much money was paid to the farmer, and this is the outcome, and this is the money they incurred. But the issue is how to quantify this in terms of improving the production and productivity. Improving the production, and this is a big challenge. Whether you are the only source of information to the farmer, then it is easy for us at least to measure. But farmers are getting pluralistic advisory services. If they open their radio, they are getting a message. If they're seeing the mobile, they are getting a WhatsApp message. If they're visiting a KVK, they're getting some information. So first is identifying our control group is also a big challenge. There is no big, what you call a perfect answer for your question, Dr. Sasidhar.
Yes, sir. I do understand it because we are facing that problem whenever the question comes how to quantify the information.
But our experience is that if we only provide information, no longer they are taking. We need some input also.
Yes,
so
sir.
Let us convert extension advisory services into extension advisory and input services.
Yes, sir. Yes, I do agree, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
You are in Aesa Veterinary College, right?
Yeah, from Aesa Veterinary College.
Thank you for your help in my animal welfare program.
Oh, thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Welcome, sir.
Hello, Professor. My name is Pramodhan.
Yes, please.
Hi. I'm a student of PG Diploma in CSR, and I'm pretty new to CSR area. I'm completely new to this area completely. So in this session that you have taken on monitoring and evaluation techniques and methods, I have a quick question for you. That is, when we do this monitoring and evaluation for any project that we come across, or for any project that we would want to implement, we incur some expense to it, right?
Incur some expense, money,
Yes, we incur some expense to it. And when it comes to CSR reporting, whatever expense that we incur towards this monitoring and evaluation techniques or methods, do we report it as a CSR expenditure to the government?
Yes. If I understand your question properly, and if you make it part of your project, you see, when you write a separate CSR intervention project and CSR project evaluation, then these two are two different entities. You implemented a CSR intervention through a project by spending, for example, some money. And then you are writing separately an evaluation proposal to see the impact of your intervention. Then these two are two different expenditure, right? So my
Okay.
advice would be include evaluation expenditure also part of your CSR.
Okay.
Part of your CSR intervention. Like for example, World Bank projects, they include evaluation component also part of the project expenditure.
Okay.
Whether they engage
So
a
it is.
external evaluator or an internal evaluation team, then they pay for it and they show it as a expenditure in entire project.
Okay. So, and one more add-on question I have, that is, when it comes to the results of any project that we have taken up, okay, you have mentioned that impact is different and evaluation is different. Evaluation is
There
like
a small
short term.
difference.
Yeah.
Yeah, short term. Yeah, immediate.
Yeah,
Immediate result is evaluation. Yeah, long term
Exactly.
is impact.
Exactly. So is it necessary to have evaluation as well as impact analysis done for all the projects, or how do we go about decide?
For example, in CSR reporting, there is a term called sustainability. It's not only in CSR, in all agricultural extension interventions also sustainability is important, right?
Yes.
Because sustainability basically deals with when you withdraw from the project, what is the future of it? Whether it can replicate on its own, whether stakeholder can sustain on their own without your intervention, so that you can focus on some other area.
Okay.
Or some other village or some other district. So this is an issue. So when the intervention is related to sustainability, when the intervention is related to sustainability, then longitudinal evaluation you can continuously do it. Like evaluation at the end of every year, or evaluation at the end of every season, or every what you called 2 years. Then this will give you long-term impacts and sustainability of your intervention. Many times, many people they follow, many organizations they follow. For instance, 2018, I completed my Borlaug program in Tuskegee University. Even today, after almost 14 years, every year I receive an email from US Department of Agriculture on what I am doing, how this Borlaug program helped me in shaping my career. This is something that they are tracking. They are tracking their intervention. They spent a lot of money on my program and on me, and just they want to track it even after 14 years. And every year I'm receiving this email. So maybe for you also, when you intervene in a community for a CSR intervention, maybe make it a point that every year you conduct a small longitudinal study and then compare it with your previous year results. Then this will give you how the community is moving with your intervention.
Okay. One last thing, I'll let you go. I'm sorry. See, geography or the location that we deal with. See, we might be implementing some CSR project across some locations. May not be in a particular village. In some particular villages, we may be implementing some CSR project. So does geography and location impact the results, or does it have any effect on the impact assessment?
Now, my point here is, I think if I get it correctly, you are talking about coverage. So monitoring covers all the villages, whereas your evaluation and impact assessment take a representative sample.
Okay, in that case, if location is also a point to be considered, in one location my project may be a failure, in another location my project may be a super success. So how
provided other conditions are same?
Provided all the conditions are the same, yes.
Yeah.
So in that case, do I consider my project as a failure or a success? How do I decide on that?
No, you can draw the conclusion. This is an important area, for instance, in diffusion and adoption of innovations. One innovation is a big success in one area, whereas it is a failure in other area. There may be several socio-economic conditions and characteristics of the stakeholders that if you can identify why my intervention was real, that's why I focused on needs assessment and baseline studies.
Correct.
What really they need. For example, They don't need your intervention, but still you want to implement it because it was successful some other area. Instead, if we have location-specific needs assessment studies, probably you may get better results across your region.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
So one last question, sir. It's posted in the chat box.
Yeah.
Whether Bennett hierarchy can be used to evaluate education system.
Yes, ma'am, you can use it because in one slide, I gave an example of e-learning material. E-learning material is something like we use in distance education or else now under national educational policy, probably all of you, Bapatla Agriculture College also may have to start online courses. So then Bennett hierarchy, you can use it. I try to give some indicators and criteria there. Maybe you can see that slide.
Thank you, sir. I profusely thank Professor PVK Sasidhar, Professor IGNOU, New Delhi, for having delivered very informative.
Before this, I just want to say a few words.
Yes, sir.
I am really immensely thankful to IGNOU and Extension Education Institute because I did my PhD in Extension Education Institute and I owe a lot to this institute. The faculty there, my guide, Professor Narayan Reddy sir, and all other faculty members, including Professor Vijayabhinandana, he was assistant professor at that time. And the training they gave, the workshops that we undergone, then the presentations of PhD students that we used to give on every Friday, it was a packed full of hall, the seminar hall of EI. I learned a lot and I owe a lot to this institute and this university, and thank you so much. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. So I profusely thank Professor PVK Sasidhar, Professor IGNOU, New Delhi, for having programs and ethics. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, Dr. Sasidhar.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much immensely. We will be in touch with you in future for future programs.
Sure, sir.
We need your support in running all the programs.
Sure, sir. Sure, sir.
Thank you. Thank you very
Thank
much.
you,
I now request the participants to give their feedback. I now request all the participants, some of the participants, they can give the feedback about the workshop and your suggestions also for future. Dear participants.
Hello.
Yeah, please.
Hello.
Hello. This is trying to say the good afternoon to all. May I visible?
Sir, voice is not clear. Right?
Yes, I am from MPKV Rauri, Maharashtra. Hello.
Please, sir, proceed.
I am from MPKV Rauri, Maharashtra. I am the technical officer to the Director of Extension Education, MPKV Rauri, Maharashtra.
Sir.
Yeah. The national workshop organized by IGNOU, College of Agriculture, Bapatla, namely Advanced Research Methodology in Agriculture Extension. I have attended for these 5 days. All the lectures were excellent one. I also express my sincere thanks to Jyoti Madam and K. Gaurav Reddy, co-organizing secretary, who has given me a chance or opportunity to attend this workshop. All the lectures were planned excellently. Topics covers were also useful. Topics cover were also useful to all the participants who are working in research field. All the lectures all the lectures, 5 lecture I have attended. It is excellent one, useful one, informative one, and it gives the more information to the extension worker in his day-to-day office work. All the lecturers, namely lecturers from NARM Hyderabad. All of you know that NARM and Manage are the Apex Training Institute, and all the lecturers are excellent one. I have listened the excellent lectures. Only my suggestion is that there are only 5 lectures, 1 lecture per day. But my suggestion is that 1 lecture should be at morning session and 1 lecture should be at afternoon session, so that you can get useful to the many research workers. So I also thanks to all the organizers, I also express my sincere thanks to Honorable Vice Chancellor of IGNOU, also the Dean Faculty of Agriculture IGNOU, that of Extension IGNOU, also the Assistant Dean of IGNOU, Ramchandra Rao Sarji, also Vijay Abhinandana Sarji, who has given very cooperation among these, the co-organizing secretaries, Jyoti Madam and Gaurav Reddy Sir has given me opportunity. So thanks to one and all, and I expect such type of cooperation in future also. Thanking you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Shiki. Thank you, Dr. G.K. Vaman.
Sir.
We'll follow all your suggestions. Another
Yes,
part.
Sir. Hello.
Please.
Sir, myself, Dr. Girish Mareddy, sir. I am working as a professor of agriculture extension at US Dharwad, sir. So, first of all, I will thank all the organizers for conducting this valuable, very need of the hour topic, that is the advanced research methodology in agriculture extension, sir. So, this is very much required to empower our students, PG students and extension professionals to develop our profession as a whole. So in this direction, many of the who have been observing our research papers published in both domestic journal and international journals. So this is the research methodology is a very important to rating the papers. So in that junction or in that perspective, so this topic was very good, sir. You have chosen, and it is a very need of the hour, which will definitely help the extension professionals to solving the problems of the farmers and other stakeholders, sir. And coming to the organizers, first I'll thanks to the Dr. B. Vijay sir, Professor of Agriculture Extension, and followed by Dr. V. Jyoti, co-organizing secretaries, and Dr. Gaurav Reddy also. They have taken a lot of interest in organizing this 5 days marathon workshop on advanced research methodologies in agriculture extension, sir. And coming to the speakers, sir. Actually, I have totally, observed the sessions of Dr. Seturaman Shivkumar and Dr. P. Sasidhar, and some part of the Kumar sir and Venkateshan and Dandapal sir. But I was very much impressed with the new techniques, and it is being updated our knowledge, and the many of the techniques we are not aware of, and those techniques are being used, particularly coping with the present scenarios, sir. It was very wonderful sessions which are being given. Particularly today's session, Dr. Sasidhar sir has given very wonderful lecture covering many of the aspects, particularly evaluation. I was very much impressed with Sasidhar sir talk, sir. So with overall, this was very nice. The program which we have taken, the College of Agriculture, Bapatla, or the university has taken the lead, particularly organizing this topic, sir. Thank you very much, sir. One suggestion just I wanted to highlight is, so of course, many of the speakers would have been given some more time to use some empirical evidences while covering some of the important intricacies of some of the topics, sir. Thank you one and all. Once again, I thank you for giving me an opportunity to share the feedback as well as participate in the workshop, sir. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Girish Mahat, sir.
Good evening, sir.
Yeah, please.
Good evening, sir. Myself, Deepthi, sir, working as scientist in KVK Venkataraman, sir. All the sessions in advanced research methodologies very informative and useful to particularly researchers, sir. Thanks for the opportunities, sir. And we expecting a similar type of workshops in future also, sir. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Deepthi.
Hello.
Any other?
Hello.
Please,
Hello.
please.
Sir, my name is Kumar, sir. I'm working as field officer in tobacco board, sir, under marketing and export section. Sir, I thank the management for a good workshop. Especially, I thank organizing secretaries Dr. B. Vijayabhinandan sir and coordinating secretary V. Jyoti ma'am, who alerted us on every day in the morning and also in the afternoon, requesting to join the meeting. And I really felt the workshop is very helpful, sir. And the teaching program is also very meticulously designed, and it is not more than 2 hours a day. So which can be, and it is also a convenient time for all the people to attend. I have seen that on all the days, more than 200 odd people have joined the meeting. That means we can understand the interest of people and also the talks, how they have designed. And coming to the lectures, the topics and the content they have discussed, I'm very thankful to all the teachers and the resource persons who have explained the different topics. I felt very useful, especially the meta-analysis and the thematic analysis using the Vivo2 software, and the factor analysis in the social science research. And the last but not the least, the sister sir today has given a very good lecture on the evaluation, which is very crucial in any of the organization to understand how best our programs have been reached. I thank you one and all, and I thank the management of IGNOU for organizing such workshops, sir. I expect the management should conduct such kind of workshops, which will be helpful, sir, in future also. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Jeevan. Any others?
Sir, good afternoon, sir.
Good
Dr.
afternoon.
Maheshwar, sir. I am very much thankful for the organizers, sir, especially Dr. Vijayabhinandan, sir, and Dr. Jyoti Madam, Dr. Gurava Reddy Garu, and other extension fraternity. We are very proud to have such sessions, sir. We are having a marathon sessions nowadays after teaser and sessions, 2 sessions, and this is a very informative, and we have to update such topics, sir. We are very much thankful, sir, and that too, this timing also very apt, sir. That is in the morning we are hectic in our day-to-day activities, sir, and we could able to spend some time in this session, sir. We are very much thankful for the organization. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you, sir.
Good afternoon, everybody. Myself, Dr. Nagesh, I am working as an assistant professor at US Raichur. I hearty congratulations to all the organizers and organizing team, like patrons and chief patrons and hello.
Please proceed.
Sir, it is very informative and useful workshop for 5 days, virtual mode. It is and this topic is very useful to all the discipline of the extension education and PG students and also as well as scholars. I really immense thanks to V. Jyoti Madam and all the organizing team, like chairman and chief patrons and organizing committee. And I really thank you, sir. Thank you. I am very this topic is very useful to all the disciplines of the extension education. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Nagesh. If there are no further feedback points, of course, many are giving in chat box. Very good organization and also conveying thanks, many of the participants. And now, before going for formal vote of thanks, as an organizing secretary, I want to say a few things. In fact, see, our Honorable Vice Chancellor, Dr. A. Vishnuvardhan Reddy Garu, Dean of Agriculture, Dr. A. Pratap Kumar Reddy Garu, Director of Extension, Dr. P. Rambabu Garu, and also Director of Research, Dr. L. Prashanth Garu, and also Honorable Member of the Board of Management. We want to convey a few words before formal vote of thanks. Now, before he start his message, I want to say a few things about the brief about the workshop. And also the chairman of the workshop, Dr. G. Ramchandra Garu, Associate Dean of College, Agriculture College, Bapatla. My own faculty, Dr. Ramadevi, Srinivas Rao, and also Dr. Jyoti. Co-organizing secretaries, Dr. Gurva Reddy and Jyoti, and also organizing committee, Dr. Chaitanya is also there. And also all the eminent resource persons. In fact, I am very happy. All the days, all the 5 days, they have responded to prompt time. They came at 2 o'clock exactly and finished by 4 or 4:30. And the participation is very much inspiring. In fact, all the 5 days, in first day, 385 participants, second day, 277, and third day, 222, fourth day, 207, and today it crossed 310. But we have taken the participants who have been there for more than 30 minutes. But joining is still, it is more. And 762 participants have registered. And the participation also, we have received from all the states covering the entire country. That is the beauty of this national workshop. Though see, within short time, all could make it possible to participate in the workshop. And also I thank all the directors of extension and professors and heads of the departments of agriculture extension, and also directors of Ataris, and also directors of research all over the country, and also our especially our university for circulating the whatever the mail I have sent to each and everyone, that made possible, in fact, to reach all across the country the message, and it could make it possible to have this type of partnership, this type of participation. It is really inspiring for us. And also, in fact, the eminent resource person right from Sethuraman, and second day we have meta-analysis by G.A.K. Kumar, and third topic is on thematic analysis using NVO software, NVO 12 software by Dr. P. Venkateshan. And also on fourth day, we had a discussion on confirmatory factor analysis in social science research by Dr. A. Dandapani. Today, you are all there with Dr. P.V.K. Sasidhar, dealing with the topic on evaluation of extension programs and ethics. I have immense pleasure to convey my sincere thanks on my behalf, and also the Department of Agriculture Extension Education, and also on behalf of the Acharya Enjiranga Agriculture University. From the participants side, we have received so many feedback points, and I want to say, after getting the feedback, we will refer their participation in all the days. Those who have participated for all the 5 days will get the e-certificate. This is in brief about the workshop. Now, I request Dr. V. Srinivas Rao, Honorable Member of the Board of Management.
Yeah, thank you, sir.
Please.
Thank you for giving me the opportunity.
Sir, please address the participants, sir.
Yeah. Thank you, sir. Are you able to hear me? Hello?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Hearing,
sir.
sir.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you, sir, for giving me the opportunity. And first of all, I want to congratulate the Department of Agricultural Extension, Agricultural College, Bapatla, organizing a 5-day workshop on advanced research methodologies in agricultural extension. But it should be not only the agricultural extension, it is for the social sciences. Being a participant in this 5-day workshop, because the two topics more related to the statistics, that is meta-analysis and confirmatory factor analysis. Definitely those two, I attended all the time, 2 hours I was there in the meeting workshop. Really, it is, that's why I am saying it is not for the agricultural extension. It would be better to call it as a social sciences, sir. And you are really meticulously planned all the 5 lectures for the 5 days. methods for announcing impact of agricultural technologies, meta-analysis, thematic analysis using the software Nevosis 12, and confirmatory fact analysis and evaluation of extension programs and ethics. Really, as Dr. Sasidhar ji has already told, ethics is very important for the research. I was there in the today's invited lecture also. Really, it is worth because it should be given to all the research scholars and researchers who are doing research. We have to follow ethics, and he has nicely narrated about the national education policy and the impact of all these things in a very, very interesting and more knowledgeable to all the faculty and the research scholars. And on this occasion, because as a member board of the management of IGNOU, our university dynamic vice chancellor Dr. Vishnuvardhan Reddy Garu, all the time he is encouraging to conduct such kind of webinars, workshops, and training programs. And the Dean of Agriculture, Dr. A. Pratap Kumar Reddy Garu, and our Associate Dean, Dr. G. Ramchandra Garu, all are encouraging by sending the proposals to the university for giving the opportunity to conduct such kind of webinars. Really, it is need of the hour. The virtual mode, really, the technology is helping. Otherwise, it is very difficult to attend such kind of great lectures. And I'm happy to know that, and I am also witnessed every day there are more than 200 participants are participating in this. It is a really great thing. I wholeheartedly congratulate the organizing secretary, Dr. Vijayabhinandana Garu, and the co-organizing secretaries, Dr. V. Jyoti and Dr. Guruvareddy Garu, and the faculty of agricultural extension education, Dr. Ramadevi Madam and Dr. Srinivasa Rao, and all other supporting staff. Really, they made it very meticulously planned, and they organized it very well, systematically and timely. And every day, as the other participants told, they used to send the links every day, and again a reminder used to send to all the participants. It is a nice thing, and I hope such kind of training programs and workshops really give a roadmap to all the research scholars and youngsters. And I once again congratulate and thank you for giving me the opportunity. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir, for your inspiring words and motivational words. And thank you very much, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Dr. Uma Maheswara, in his feedback, he has mentioned about the timing of the workshop. In fact, we thoroughly thought of it. See, in the morning time, everybody becomes busy with their core activities. The moment they come to the office, the immediate things will be done in the morning time. They feel somewhat comfortable in the afternoon. For that reason only, we have fixed the time. That was indicated by Uma Maheswara also. In fact, thank you, Uma Maheswara. Now, I request our co-organizing secretary, Dr. V. Jyoti, Associate Professor of the Department of Agriculture Extension Education, Agriculture College, Bapatla, to formally present the vote of thanks.
Good evening, one and all. I take this privilege to immensely thank Dr. A. Vishnuvardhan Reddy Garu, Honorable Vice Chancellor, Acharya N.G. Ranga Agricultural University, for constantly encouraging the organization of webinars, workshops, training programs, symposia, seminars, conferences, for enhancing the competency of the teachers and scientists to improve the research publication behavior. I'm thankful to Dr. A. Pratap Kumar Reddy Garu, Dean of Agriculture, IGNOU, and Principal Investigator, IDP, for permitting to organize this workshop, for providing funds under IDP, and encouraging the teachers to organize such events regularly. And I immensely thank him for attending the inaugural program physically and motivating us. I profusely thank Dr. T. Giridhar Krishna Garu, Registrar, IGNOU, for extending all the cooperation in conducting the workshop successfully. I thank Dr. P. Rambabu Garu, Director of Extension, IGNOU, for all the motivation in conduct of the workshop and permitting the extension scientists working in KVKs and DARTs for their active participation. I immensely thank Dr. L. Prashanthi Madam, Director of Experimental Stations, IGNOU, for responding to our request immediately and permitting the extension scientists working in regional agricultural research stations for their active participation. I immensely thank Dr. G. Ramachandra Rao Garu, Associate Dean, Agricultural College, Bapatla, for his constant guidance, providing all the amenities and necessary support for organizing this event in a big way. I immensely thank Dr. V. Srinivasa Rao Garu, Member Board of Management, for gracing this occasion virtually and delivering a message as chief guest to the participants. I immensely thank him for all the encouragement support he has provided us daily. I thank Dr. Srinivasa Rao Garu and Dr. K. N. Ravikumar, Professor, HOD of Economics, and their staff and PG and PhD students for attending this program on all the 5 days. I immensely thank the expert speakers of the workshop, Dr. P. Sethuraman Shivakumar, Principal Scientist, CTCRI, Thiruvananthapuram, for delivering a lecture on methods for analyzing impact of agricultural technologies. Dr. G.A.K. Kumar, Principal Scientist, NRRI Cuttack, he has delivered a lecture on meta-analysis. Thematic analysis using NVO 12 was delivered by Dr. P. Venkateshan, Principal Scientist, NAM. Another Principal Scientist of Statistics from NAM, Dr. A. Dandapani, he has delivered a lecture on confirmatory factor analysis in social science research. Dr. and Professor P.V.K. Sasidhar, Professor IGNOU, New Delhi, he has delivered a lecture on evaluation of extension programs and ethics today. I thank all the expert speakers for sparing their valuable time and sharing their expertise with the participants in this workshop. In fact, they were the source of inspiration and motivation for us to conduct the workshop on time daily. I immensely thank all the 762 participants who include extension fraternity, teachers, scientists, PG and PhD students for taking keen interest in registering and attending this workshop. And I thank the participants who have given their feedback, and definitely all your feedback points, suggestions will be taken into consideration when we organize the next event. I also thank the other participants who have attended this program without registration. A special thanks to Dr. K. Guruvareddy, Professor, for taking the initiative and lead in successful conduct of this program. I thank all the technical officers, namely Dr. Jafar Basha, Dr. Mukund Rao, Dr. Gopi Krishna, Dr. Uma Devi from IDP Cell and their timely support. I thank Mr. Dinesh, Mr. B. Gautam Kumar, Mr. Ananta Vihari, Srimati Asha, all the PG and PhD students of the department for all the technical support in organizing this program. I thank the IDP team of the college, Dr. Chandrasekhar Sir, Professor, Dr. Sita Rambabu, Assistant Professor, SRF Srimati Lavanya, and supporting staff, Srinu, for all the cooperation extended in conduct of the workshop in this IDP hall. My sincere thanks to all the extension alumni for popularizing and spreading information about the workshop in all the professional groups. I immensely thank all the participants for their motivation and inspiration in the form of their attendance, interaction in the chat box, and online interaction to conduct the 5-day national workshop in a successful manner. I also thank the organizing secretary, Dr. B. Vijayabhinandana, Professor and University Head, co-organizing secretaries, Dr. Jyoti, Dr. Guruvareddy, organization committee members, Dr. Chaitanya Kumari, Dr. Ramadevi Madam, Dr. M. Srinivasa Rao Sir, non-teaching staff of the department, Hebel, Krishna Mohan, Srinu, Venkateshwaramma for all the support they have rendered during this workshop. I convey my sincere thanks to one and all who directly and indirectly contributed to the success of this workshop. Thank you, one and all. Apart from the virtual participation, the PG and PhD students also have participated coming here physically. I also thank them. YouTube live streaming also was given in for this workshop. So whenever you want to listen or you want to view that program again, we can retrieve that information on YouTube. So thank you all.
Thank you all, my senior faculty members and also extension fraternity, our entire country, and also other discipline participants, PG and PhD students. Thank you all. See, we will have many more such programs which are useful to our extension fraternity. As honorable member said, social sciences. Okay. Thank you all. Thank you. We call it a day.